Okay, so Lane, this is the new machine, huh?
That's it.
So what all you got new in this thing this year?
Well, let's take a walk over and look at the motor.
Okay.
It starts out, it's 431 cubic inches. It's got a Sonny Bryant billet crank, a 4 1/8 stroke crank.
So
it's got titanium rods. It's got 16:1 pistons. It's got heads that flow almost 400 CFM. It's got titanium oversized valves. It's converted into solid lifter cams. The engine itself, in order to get to 431 cubic inches and get a good rod angle, because it runs a 6 1/8 length rod, we extended the heads. It's got deck plates on it, so the heads now come further out like this. They're a lot wider. It has longer sleeves. So the sleeve goes through the deck plate, goes through the block, and it enables you to run a long stroke and also have a good rod angle.
So structurally, it's a little stronger than your...
I don't know if it's any stronger, but it's definitely more complicated, because once you extend the block, you have to have longer chains, you have to have different tensioner arms, modify the tensioner arms, the geometry, the tension is, it spreads out the heads on the top, so you have to build a different manifold. It really becomes a one-of-a-kind motor, and everything has to be engineered from step one. It took about 4 years to get it running and get it running right.
So right show me some stuff on top side here that you can...
The intake manifold is a sheet metal manifold. It's a large volume manifold, because you need to have a large volume of air up here in order to supply the motor instantaneously. It runs like the original ZR-1, it runs 16 injectors. Only these are 35 pounds each, so you have 70 pounds of flow per cylinder. And it's got a ram air system. It comes up through the front bumper. Air comes in at the front bumper, and it comes up directly into the twin 3.5-inch throttle bodies.
Oh, this custom throttle body up top. That looks a little bit bigger than mine, Lane.
Yeah, there's two 3.5-inch throttle bodies. As a matter of fact, there's so much suction. The vacuum is so strong that I used to run an air cleaner in the front. You can't run it anymore. It'll suck it right out of its holder and draw it right up there. And the headers are custom headers by Dawson Racing Headers. They're a 2 1/4-inch step header. They start at 2 1/4. They run down to 2 1/8.
Okay.
The motor runs a data acquisition system, which run 8 exhaust gas temperature sensors. You can see them in each header.
Yeah, I noticed those connectors there. No,
and we tune the motor off of exhaust gas temperature. We'll add fuel, let's take fuel out, and read the exhaust gas temperature to get it right.
So that reads the air-fuel mix and tune it that way?
Yes.
Now you can adjust your injectors at all, or just go to a different size, or what?
Yeah, we can adjust the flow through the injectors. The whole motor is run off the laptop, so we can adjust things instantly between rounds. As far as cooling goes, it has a remote water pump sitting over in that corner over there.
Okay, we'll take a look at that. Oh, here's your intake. Intake comes in?
Yeah, that's
right here.
And that comes in, it's forced in, it's a high pressure area.
Okay, and here's
water
your
pump is right here. It's an electric water pump. It's remote. If you follow it, it goes right up to the original factory water pump, which is now hollowed out and is used as an inlet.
Okay.
The fuel rails back to the regulators, pretty similar to the original system. Most all electron fuel injection systems will run that way. This just has larger volume.
Looks great. Any chassis changes this year, or?
No, other than a larger tire to handle the 900 horsepower that the motor put out. It puts out now 900 horsepower at about between 7,800 and 8,000 RPMs.
So what kind of tire you got on here this year?
It runs a Goodyear Pro Stock tire. It's 16.5 inches wide.
Hey, what's that rear end under there, Lane?
That the rear end is a full-length custom Pro Stock style rear built by Willie Rells. And it's fully adjustable, double adjustable shocks, complete adjustable suspension. Wheelie bars give us the ability to...
What kind of gear are you using this year?
We run a 514 at some tracks and a 5.0 at other tracks. And it really depends on the altitude and the traction, but pretty much you got to stay over a 5.0 rear to spin these tires. We run a lightweight aluminum flywheel. The ZR-1 has the small flywheel and it's not changeable, and the problem with that is you can't really run a big racing clutch, and the reason is that they have the starter mounted through the block in the valley. So what we did is we machined the back of the block and raised and moved up and over the starter to the location that it would be if you were going to run a large flywheel. And then we built a large flywheel, so now we run a 11-inch full adjustable competition clutch with a sintered iron metallic slider disc.
Wow.
And
I guess it's easier to ask what's left.
well, we try to cover everything, because if you're going to race every week and things start breaking, you're not going to win. You not only have to have the power and be able to drive the car, but you have to make sure things don't break. There's no second chance in drag racing. Once you're late at the tree, or you don't have the power, or something breaks, it's an elimination. You're sitting back and the next guy's going on, and you're putting the car on a trailer and going home. So as an example, we put in 40 spline gun drilled axles. They're used in 1300 horsepower Pro Stock cars. We're not putting out that kind of power, but we'll never break them. And pretty much right across the board, we put in a 5-speed Lane transmission, which is good for 3,000 horsepower. So we've really overbuilt everything.
Show me the inside. Speaking of that Lenco, let's take a look. This side open? Go ahead in your side, and I'll just shoot in this side. Yeah. Okay, so your office looks a little bit different than your average ZR-1 owner.
Well, as far as the transmission goes, the Lenco has a separate stick for each gear. It's always in first. Like right now, if you let out the clutch, you'd be moving. It's in first. Pull this one back, second, third, fourth, fifth. And it's pretty hard to miss a gear that way. You have to use the clutch pedal for starting it out. Once you're moving, you don't use the clutch pedal anymore. You just yank the levers. Even though there's a tack in there, we really can't use the tack. You can't take your eyes off what you're doing even for a microsecond. So we shift by the lights. The only time we use the tack is in the bleach box when we're heating up the tires. You want to get an idea of what the RPM is. So you can time the...
Do you really use the lights, or are you listening to this thing all the time?
You have to use the lights. It's way too fast. Right now, it's if you think about how fast it is, from a 0 to 60 standpoint, the average Corvette is probably about 5 seconds now. This goes 0 to 60 in 1.2 seconds. When we launch the car, it's off the ground, and we're shifting second gear in the air, and we're already shifting third gear as the front end is coming down and settling. It'll run the 8th mile at about 5 seconds at around 130 miles an hour. It runs the quarter at about 8.5 seconds at about 160 miles an hour. And in the first 8th mile, we're launching the car and shifting all 5 gears in the first 5 seconds. So there's a lot going on.
I'll say. Well, we'll take a ride tomorrow and see it in action.
And you have to sit with your helmet underneath the funny car cage, which means you're basically in a lying back and down position with a bubble on the hood. You can't even see out the front, so you aim it and you look at the guardrails on the side and you try to keep it straight.
And how quick are you going through the traps?
About 160.
Well, let's sit in and see what it looks like.